Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. I thought I would change up the vibe a little bit and go into another storytelling video. But the story today is going to be a little bit unconventional. I'm going to tell you about my personal ghost stories that I've experienced. I know it's a little bit different, but I thought, hey, it'll be fun change up. I'm actually really interested in everything paranormal. I just think it's really cool. You get to let your imagination run wild. And I even hosted a paranormal workshop about 5 years ago where I teamed up with some paranormal ghost investigators, and we sold tickets to the public where they can come in and investigate one of the oldest and most haunted schools in Edmonton. That was a really cool event. I set up my background here to be a little bit more spooky, different. I'm filming it at night right now, and I'm creating a little bit of an ambiance, So let me tell you about all the different experiences. I thought of 3 good examples with a little bit of diversity in them. The first one I seeked out. The second one, I felt like I was giving an energy out into the universe and it responded. And my third experience came through the form of love. If you guys have your own personal stories to share, please comment below and I would love to hear about them. So my first story happened to me when I was 15, and it has to do with a Ouija board. Yes, a Ouija board. This is why I don't think they should sell it as a toy, because it is actually really scary. One evening, my friend Trisha and we were playing Ouija board in my bedroom, and we were talking to this girl, to this young girl. I forgot how old she was, but we were talking to her for quite a while, for like an hour, and she was telling us how she really liked us, and she was like, "Oh, can I stay with you?" And we were like, "What? Like, that's just weird," but we just kind of ignored it. About an hour into playing it, I just noticed that my friend Trisha was acting a little bit weird. Like, when I talked to her, she wasn't responding to me. So I was like, okay, this is a little odd. Like, I was like, "Trisha, are you okay?" And she doesn't even respond. She just kept playing. Like, no eye contact, no nothing. It was just the weirdest thing. And again, I was like, "Trisha, are you okay?" No response. So I was like, okay, maybe we should stop playing. And then when I said that, she yells at me. She's like, "No." Oh, that was scary. Like why would you yell at me, right? So I was really taken back by her response. So I just took the game away. And normally you're supposed to say goodbye when you play games, but we didn't say goodbye. So that's a tip right there. So we didn't say goodbye, and I took the game away. And I told her, I was like, "Hey, you just yelled at me." And she was like, "What? Really?" Like, it was almost like she was like coming out from a daze. She was like, "Oh, I don't remember that." And I told her what was happening the 5 minutes before we stopped playing, how like she wasn't responsive and she yelled at me, and she had no idea. That was so creepy. And so I was like, okay, that was a weird experience. Let's just go to bed. She was sleeping over that night. In the bathroom, as we were getting ready for bed, I remember I was standing closest to the mirror, and she was standing like a foot behind me, right? And we were brushing our teeth, and I was just looking at the mirror and just brushing. And then suddenly I had this like really strong, overwhelming feeling. Like, that feeling you get when someone comes in or someone's behind you, I had a really strong, overwhelming feeling that that girl that we were talking to came into the room. I didn't see her or anything, but it's just a feeling. And at that moment, when I was just overcome with that feeling, Trish, my friend, standing behind me, started acting all weird again. She was just looking around the place like she's never been there. It was just the weirdest thing. She's just like looking around. And I was brushing my teeth, and I was just watching her. And I don't know, I guess something inside me was like, okay, she's doing it again. I don't know, maybe it's just possessed. I wasn't sure. So I was just observing her through the mirror, and I was just like, "Trish, are you okay?" I said it again, and she didn't respond. She just kept like looking around the place like she's never been there, just non-responsive. And I just didn't say anything else. I just watched, and I think it probably lasted for 2 to 3 minutes, and then suddenly that feeling went away. And when that feeling went away, my friend Trish was normal again. It was like on cue. So I told her in the bathroom, I was like, hey, you know, you started acting really weird again. And when you started acting weird, I had this feeling. And I told her what happened. And she said that she had no idea. It was like crazy amnesia. She's like, I didn't feel anything. Like, I didn't even notice I was doing anything. I don't even remember you saying anything to me. I was like, okay, we finished brushing our teeth. Let's go to bed now. So she's freaked out. I'm freaked out. And we were just lying in bed. And I remember thinking and feeling, I mean, this bed part, maybe it was just in our heads, maybe we were playing off each other, but we were lying in bed, and at one point I felt like that spirit girl was standing at my door. And I asked her, like I asked Trish, I was like, where do you think she is right now? And Trish was like, by the door. And I was like, oh. And then 10 minutes later, I had a feeling that the girl was standing at the end of my bed. So I asked Trish, I was like, where do you think she is now? And Trish was like, at the end of the bed. And then 10 minutes after that, I felt like that girl was standing like right next to me. And then I asked Trish, I was like, where do you think she is now? And Trish was like, next to you. And like, we screamed. It was just so creepy that we were just thinking the exact same things. And I mean, maybe we were just like feeding off each other and our fear and everything. But we screamed like little girls. And then we started praying. I'm not religious, but we just prayed to anyone and anything for protection. And then we fell asleep. And you think this is where the story ends, but it does not end here. Okay, this is like the weird part. For the next few months, that girl did not leave. Oh my gosh, but it was really weird. Like, I don't think she followed Trisha home or anything. She kind of stayed with me, and specifically in my room. And she would wake me up in the morning for school. Like, I remember a few times I would be sleeping in my bed and it's daytime, like it's like 8 o'clock, you know, my alarm clock went off and I should be getting up and getting ready to go to school. But a lot of times, like, I'm really lazy. I like to just like lie in bed and like snooze. But this one morning, I remember I thought my mom called my name, but it sounded like she was really, like right next, like standing right next to me. And I thought, oh, that's weird. Like, why would she come into my room and say my name to get me up? She normally doesn't do that. But this voice next to me was like, Sam, like lightly, like, Sam. And I like turn around because I was sleeping on my side. I turn around and nobody's there. And in my mind, I kind of thought it was that girl, but I don't know. It didn't scare me. She didn't give me a sense of fear. It was like she was kind of watching out for me. I don't know. It was so weird. And that didn't happen once. It didn't happen twice. It actually happened almost on a weekly basis. But I never had like a scary sense. It never happened at night. I was in the morning. This one time she touched me when she said my name as well. So I was lying on my side and I had my blanket over me, like here. And she said, Sam. And then I could feel, you know when somebody like touches you and they press down, like, and you could feel like your blanket go down as well before they touch you. So then she said, Sam, and she touched me. I thought it was my mom. And I turn around and nobody's there. But I'm like, okay, that's a new one. I like got touched this time. But again, I wasn't scared. Even though I'm like such a chicken. With all the things I've done, I'm still such a chicken. So I was just like, okay, like nobody's there. And but what the time that really did it for me is when I saw her. Again, it was in the morning, and she called my name, and I was lying on my back this time. She called my name, she said, Sam, and I opened my eyes, and for that split, like half a second, I saw her. She was just like right there, like in front of my face, and it was really creepy because she was like black and white almost in color, and it looked like she had all this dirt on her. I don't know, it was just such a quick like vision of her. And when I saw that, I like screamed. Like I probably like heard her and all this stuff a good like 5 times at least, but I've never seen her. So the one time when I did saw her, I just lost it. That same day I went to school and I told Trish, I'm like, okay, you have to come over and we have to say goodbye because I can't continue like this. That same day, Trish came over, and that night we said goodbye on that same Ouija board that we played with. And there's no problem. It's a very quick goodbye. After we said goodbye, I tore up the Ouija board. I threw it away. I never want to see another one. And I never heard from her again. So that was a crazy experience. And yeah, I don't know if you guys have had Ouija board stories. I've had a few other ones, but that one took the cake on my Ouija board experience. I definitely do not recommend Ouija boards. Like, they are scary, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Oh my god, please say goodbye. If there's anything you guys take away from my video, it's saying goodbye to a Ouija board. Oh, so scary. Anyways, this is why it's not meant for kids. I was 15 when I played. So in my second story, I was actually on a trip. I went to Vietnam about, when was that? Like 4 years ago. And I was on a trip with my friend and we were staying at a hotel. Hotels also scared me as well. So the first night in this hotel, I was sleeping, and in my dream, I woke up and I was in the bed that I was in, but I was in this black, I don't know if it's a room or another dimension. I was just surrounded by blackness. Like it wasn't confined, it stretched forever. Everything above me, everything below me, side to side, it was just completely black. And then at the end of my bed was a man, like just standing there, looking at me. And it was creepy. Like I didn't see his face or anything like that. I just knew like it was a man, and I just knew his presence. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel anything. It was just creepy. I screamed in my dream, which woke me up in real life. And I was super disoriented when I woke up. I was just like screaming, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'm back to, I guess, my hotel. Like I wasn't even sure where I was anymore when I woke up. Anyways, I was screaming, and my friend wakes up and he was like, are you okay? I'm like, oh yeah, it was just a dream. And that's what I wrote it off as. I was like, okay, it was nothing. I'm just gonna go back to bed. So we went to bed. And I guess because of what happened to me that night, a few days later, we were still staying at that same hotel. We decided to tell each other ghost stories. So my friend is from Toronto and he doesn't believe in ghosts. I mean, a lot of people don't believe in ghosts, and I don't blame them, because unless you had a personal encounter, like, why would you, right? And we were sharing these stories for hours, and I remember it was about 3 something in the morning, and we were sitting on our patio outside of our hotel room, and I could feel like this certain energy I was giving off. Like I can't explain it. Like I know when I do law of attraction, I give off a certain energy which I can feel radiate off of my body. And this is like something similar but different. I can feel myself giving off some kind of weird energy. I don't know what it is. I don't do it often, but I can feel it. And I remember telling stories, and I just kept looking back to the door in the hotel room, like just feeling like, you know, like, is something communicating with me? Is something like, I don't know, giving off some kind of energy that someone's picking up or someone's coming closer? I wasn't sure, but I was like, okay, you know what, it's getting late, let's go to bed now. You know, I think we've shared enough stories for tonight. So, bathroom, brushing my teeth, and suddenly we heard this beeping noise. It was just like beep, 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 beep. It was just like random beeping noises, and we were just searching. We're like, what is that noise? And we finally found out that it was the safe inside the closet. We opened the door, and the safe wasn't closed. Like the door was open, and I asked him, like, did you use the safe? He's like, no. He asked if I used the safe. I was like, no. Like it wasn't locked or anything. And we're looking at this safe, and it looks like someone's pressing the buttons to make it beep. Like we don't actually see anyone pressing it, but that's what it sounded like. Because if it didn't sound like it was out of batteries, because if it was out of batteries, it would have been a more consistent beep, beep, beep noise. But it was like as if someone was like beep, 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 beep. Like, oh, it was so weird. And my friend was like, is that Morse code? Oh my gosh, that was so creepy when he said that. We just like booked our ass downstairs to like the the front office area. When we were in the elevator, he was like, don't tell them that it might be spiritual, because like he doesn't believe in it, and he's like, I don't want other people to think we're crazy. So I was like, okay, that's fine, I won't tell them that. So we go downstairs and we just tell them we think that there is something wrong with our safe, can they please remove it? So the guy said, okay, well, let me bring up the mechanical person so we can look at the safe. So then we all go upstairs together, and of course the safe is no longer beeping. So the mechanical guy looks at it and he's like, okay, if you want me to remove the safe, I have to unscrew it because it's bolted down. And he looked at the safe, he's like, there's nothing wrong with the safe, the battery is fine. And I can tell that they were kind of thinking, hey, something's up with these two, like this is not normal. And the guy was just like, okay, there's nothing wrong with the safe or the battery, and it's not making noises anymore. And we were like, you know what, it's 3 a.m, don't worry about unscrewing the safe, that just seems like a lot of work, and clearly the safe is not beeping anymore, so I'm sure it's fine. So then they're like, okay, so they left, and we're in the room, and we close the door. Then I go to sit on the bed. The minute I go, oh, that's so weird, I don't know why that safe is beeping. Guess what happened? It started beeping again the minute I said those words. And when it started beeping again, oh my gosh, we booked it out of there. We didn't even put on our shoes. We just booked it out of there. We went downstairs. We're like, we need another room. It's beeping again. Unfortunately, the concierge guy said that they were booked out for the hotel. So what they had to do was unscrew our safe. So we're like, yeah, please remove the safe. So they went upstairs and they took the safe away. And my friend and I never talked about what happened that night until we left the country for the rest of our trip. That was how scared we were. We literally thought that if we talked about it again, like something would happen. Maybe something else would be like, I don't know. But we actually never talked about it again. I didn't say a peep about it until I got back to North America. But yeah, is that intense or what? Like that one, it wasn't just me experiencing it. My friend experienced it with me. I don't think it was the battery because it was such a random beep. And the fact that it went off again the minute I referenced it, and like, I don't know. So that is like my second story. And I feel like it happened because this energy I was emitting was attracting it, or a signal or something, because I just feel like we're all made of energy and you can create whatever you want. And I believe that our energy also is used as a communication tool between dimensions. So maybe with the energy I was giving off, I was able to somehow, I don't know, attract the spirit. Like, I don't know. But now I check myself if I ever feel that way. I'm like, no, think about something else, Sam. Like, we don't want that to happen again. So yeah, that story ended there. Okay, so now my third story actually happened about 2 months ago. It happened during my trip to Cancun. I just posted my Azulik video. Azulik is the hotel I went to before Cancun. But yeah, this happened during Cancun. But this is actually a really cool story. This one is different because I think when I was on my trip to Mexico, Cancun, my communication channels and maybe my chakras were really open to the universe. So I was really open to receiving messages. So after the show we were watching, we were having drinks by the bar area, and this couple from Manitoba started talking to us. They were really friendly, and we were just engaging in small talk, you know. And for some reason, probably like 10 minutes into our conversation, I was like, oh, so do you have any kids? Because, you know, who doesn't ask that, right? Like, it's just normal. And she was like, yeah, I have 2 kids. And then she goes, well, actually, I had 3 kids, but my first one passed away. And I was like, oh, well, I'm so sorry about that. That's very unfortunate. And when she said that to me, oh my gosh, like I had this overwhelming feeling that her son was trying to communicate to them through me. Like I suddenly felt this love for them, which is weird because I don't know them and I don't feel this for random people I meet. And it was, I don't know how, like, it was just like I felt like I loved them so much and I wanted to tell them I love them, but I knew it wasn't me. I knew it was this boy. That's the weird part. And I was trying to fight those feelings. I was trying to listen to their story about their children, but at the same time fight off this feeling that this boy wants me to tell them this. Otherwise, why would he make me feel this way? So then I told them, I was like, okay, I have something to tell you guys because this feeling I have won't go away. And please don't think I'm crazy because this has never happened to me before. And they suddenly became super tentative. And they were like, no, please tell us, what is it? And I was just like, okay, like they seem really receptive of something I just said. I'm like thinking maybe I'm supposed to tell them at this point because like, oh, she just became really weird, like in a good responsive way. So I was like, okay, I feel like your son wants me to tell you how much he loves you. That's so weird. Like I'm not a medium, I'm not any of that. My first time doing this. And then, you know, they got really quiet and then they got really emotional. And I kept apologizing because I didn't know what to do. I don't want to bring up like past problems or like sadness or anything like that. And then so I told them, I'm like, I've never done this before. I don't know why this is happening. And they tell me apparently that their little boy is very special. And that after he passed away, he actually has contacted other mediums around them. And those mediums actually contacted the couple to tell the couple his message. So for them, for me to say this was not out of the norm. Who would have thought? So yeah, apparently they've been contacted and talked to by other mediums a few times before me. The wives told me that apparently that morning, that exact morning, they had done a Mexican ritual on the beach. And during the ritual, she had asked her son if he was still around. And if he was around, please give her a sign. And what happens that night? They talk to me, their son tells me info to tell them how much he loves them. Talk about coincidence. I swear that is beyond coincidence, right? Like, is that not the craziest thing ever? Okay, so it doesn't end there. So, you know, they're telling me about him and I'm just at this point, like, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. I like get emotional with them, they're emotional. And then I go to the bathroom, and on my walk to the bathroom, this kid tells me even more information. He just, I don't know, like gives me, like he tells me all this stuff in my head. And then after I came back, I told them what he had told me to tell them. And they were just like really shocked by my message in a good way. And I like didn't know where this stuff was coming from, and it was just really amazing at the same time, but really creepy for me. But anyway, so we talked to them for another hour, and I comforted them, and I told them the message that that boy wanted me to tell them, like how much he loved them, and that he meant to only live until 5 years old. And that's why when he was born, he had a different look in his eyes, because he had to teach them something. And he had a very short amount of time to teach them. And the father tells me that it was very interesting that I said that, because when he was born, he always had a different gaze that they thought was very special. And I was like, yes, that was him trying to communicate something with you. And that he always knew that his time here was going to be very short, like 4 or 5 years old. And they told me he passed away when he was 5. And they blamed it on themselves because they thought they could have done more. And I told them no, he knew before he was born that he had a very limited time, and that, so please, like, use that time with him and understand what you're supposed to learn from it. Like I wasn't sure what they were supposed to learn, but that's what he told me, and that, you know, he really loves them. But yeah, that was the message I got, and I told them, and very, very different, very interesting, and I just feel so blessed to be a part of that experience. Never had that before. I'm not gonna make it a normal thing. That was my first time receiving messages in the form of love. It was so different. While I was talking to them, at a certain point, I actually can see this boy in my mind, like kind of like standing or dancing in the middle of all of us, and he was really happy. And I told them that. I told them everything I saw, and then I told them when the boy left. Like, he wasn't gone, but like I was like, okay, he's gonna leave now. And yeah, it was so different. I don't even know what's happening to me anymore. But yeah, that was my experience just 2 months ago. It was an amazing experience, and I was so lucky to be able to share that with them. And I don't believe that that was a coincidence. Just everything, the timing, the stories, the messages I told them, and what they confirmed with me, like, it was just so, like, amazing. They're just such a special family, and I wish them the best. Thank you to the boy that chose me to help deliver that message to them. It was an amazing experience, and I feel so lucky to be involved in that, and I'll never forget it. And I think it's even amazing that I'm able to share this with you guys. Yeah. So anyways, thank you so much for listening to my stories. I hope it was entertaining, and I hope it was maybe inspirational, and also what not to do in the spiritual world. So I want to share that with you. Don't play Ouija boards. But my whole takeaway from this is that whether we are living in our dimension here, in the physical dimension, or in the spiritual dimension, or all the other different dimensions that I was talking about, I believe our energy does and can cross through all the dimensions. We can use it as communication tools. Energy is just so important, and we can use it to cross through time, get our messages across, and help other people. And we don't have to be limited by our physical bodies. Our mind, consciousness, and energy is just so powerful, and I feel like it's not tapped into enough. I can't control it. Like, that's how little I can tap into it. But sometimes it just speaks for me, I guess. But I think it would be cool if we actually were able to develop it more and use it to help other people and to understand ourselves. How cool would it be to, like, talk to your higher self, understand how your energy is linked with your past, present, and future. I'm still trying to discover more of that, and I'll share with you guys what I discovered along the way. So sometimes when we do tune into the spiritual world, they're not always bad. They're not always bad spirits. Sometimes they're friendly. Sometimes they have messages of love. We just don't understand enough about these other dimensions in order to have a good understanding. But I'm learning as I go. And I'm excited to share with you guys. I have some pretty cool stories. And anyway, I thought my stories were interesting, and I hope you guys liked them. Let me know what you think, and thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye guys.